Every real estate investor needs AI agents to survive 2026, but 99% are using them completely wrong. I just spent 6 months testing every AI tool for REI businesses and discovered a specific 3-agent system that's generating millions in deals for top investors. In the next 45 minutes, I'm showing you the exact AI agent stack you need, the 3 agents to implement first, and the one mistake that's killing your deal flow right now. Because I'm on a mission to help 1,000 investors dominate with AI before their competition catches up. If you're ready to stop competing on hustle and start competing on intelligence, let's dive in. What is going on, everyone that is in the REIpreneurs office hours? And obviously, either you heard from us on YouTube or you're part of a client of ours to get leads, get sellers.io or Hustle Media or even Remote Latinos, and you're part of these office hours, you obviously are going to be seeing this on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If not, just know that every single Friday at 11 a.m. we have office hours where we cover different topics, and we cover topics that are super useful for the real estate investing and wholesaling space, flipping space, and so on. I want to show you guys essentially like the different topics that we have covered in the last few meetings that we've had. Some of them, they bring in a good amount of people. Some of them, people like to stay at home. But this one is for every single AI agent and REI business needs. And the last few times that we've covered this, we've actually covered how to utilize AI with the most powerful CRM, display tracking KPIs, the entire click-to-close process, and how to build a $3 million a year acquisition business with Tiffany High and Josh High. And we'll continuously be bringing more people to this. So without further ado, let me get started because I want to show you guys something that we've been working on. All right. So this is basically, we're going to be doing some sort of workshop and some sort of training on what we actually need to build an REI team that is built based on AI. So, I'm going to skip through this fluff right here, but obviously this is for wholesalers that want to build AI employees and then ultimately scale with AI, house flippers or REI business owners and operators, even new investors that ultimately want to get the unfair advantage from day one. So, for example, one thing that you guys might be aware of is obviously ChatGPT and Claude and all these other tools, right? But there is a lot more than just that. I'm going to go over that. And there's a lot more than just the chat itself. If you don't know me, my name is Esteban Andrade. My business partner here is Taylor. Sorry, I butchered your name. Taylor, can you please introduce yourself real quick here?
Yeah. I'm one of the founders of Get Sellers, and just super stoked about this and building out AI. Obviously, we know that AI is the future, but it's already here. So, I've done a bunch of real estate deals myself, as well as marketing for 17 years. But, I think that this is what we all need to be looking at if we want to still be around within the next 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So, super good stuff. So take some notes and let's do it.
All right. So back in 2018, I kind of started doing Hustle Media as a part-time, where I was an engineer and everything I built was with engineering systems. So I automated my business really quickly because I learned Zapier and Zapier mostly. And then I got to find out about different platforms like Go High Level. And then I started scaling the business. And then in 2023, that's kind of when ChatGPT came out publicly, and then discovered AI automation. And then obviously been learning ever since. And then we've been building our AI employees and AI team, AI-enabled team ever since. And this year, we've been putting a lot more effort into that, right? So how does the AI REI business today ultimately look like, right? So it looks like where it's an AI powered engine for lead gen, and for everything else on your business. So let me walk you guys through how essentially the org chart would look like if you were to have an REI AI organizational chart. So in here, we have humans and we also have agents that will live under them. So essentially, if you were to put yourself in the shoes of a commander, CEO, owner, most of you guys are, you guys would eventually hire these roles, which are you essentially humans. So you would hire an acquisition manager. You have a TC, whether part time, full time, you name it, a dispo manager, an ops manager, a lead manager to help you with speed to lead, conversations, booking, all that stuff, and a marketing manager. This is how basically like what the bigger operations do that. And I would say at some point even a bigger operation would have like a financial manager, but each one of them have the opportunity to hold on, let me just don't show the rest of this stuff. I want to show it just the screen real quick so that it doesn't get confusing. There you go. So each one of these roles have the opportunity to create AI agents are under them, right? So let's say, for example, here the CEO, you would have different agents under you that you would have to build out as critical, such as the daily brief agent, KPI dashboard agent, campaign attribution agent, finance bookkeeping agent. We'll dive into this, here later. Okay. Now let's get back into this. So obviously, why AI? Well, there's been a lot of things happening in the last few years where obviously everything gets more costly to ultimately acquire deals. It gets harder. The cost to acquire deals harder. To find employees that are reliable is harder. And you can go remote and overseas. But what if every single one of them become enabled? Well, what if every single employee is enabled with an AI agent under them, right? And the problem is that most investors actually use AI manually. So they just open ChatGPT, ask one question, and get a generic answer, and they start over the next time. Or they try to put instructions on their ChatGPT, but they just use that chat. So ultimately, that becomes more like a Google search rather than an actual AI automation. But an AI employee is actually a trained, specialized agent with context and memory to handle lead generation, follow up, deal analysis, dispo, finances, you name it, right? So, how do you actually end up building and knowing what is the AI agents that you need to do for your business? The first thing you guys got to do is we got to identify the pain that we're trying to solve first. Okay. So one of the biggest mistakes is to start jumping into AI tools without knowing the problem that you're solving. And then you ask, why is it that you actually, purchase this product? Why, it's only one feature that I liked, but in reality doesn't really solve a problem that a wholesaler or investor or operator actually has. So for example, a wholesaler with 500 leads in their CRM, but there is no consistent follow-up, there's going to be about 80% of deals that are lost because no follow-up. So that's a pain, for example, and that's where like an AI employee goes in and help not only by automating an SMS or emails, but by actually having someone that is commanding that entire operation of making sure that things are being followed up with, right? So always start with pain and problem before building a solution. That is the number one rule for any AI architecture. Okay. Now, for example, the lead generation department, right? So in here, for example, we would have someone that can help you or an agent that would help you with lead capture, right? Obviously, there's a lot of automations that already exist out there. And this could essentially be something like as simple as make. But then you can also have tools like Claude ultimately using their system to help you capture this as well. And automated follow-up, appointment booking, and hands-free handoff to the team and so on. So essentially booking those appointments, right? That's just one example. All without the human touching it manually. So here I'm going to show you guys the example between Claude and the difference between Claude and ChatGPT and how ultimately we use it. Okay. So Claude is our primary tool to build AI agents and to code stuff. ChatGPT is secondary, even though they have Codex, which is getting up there, and a lot of people that use Codex, good for you. But right now, Claude Code started kind of like ahead. So Claude is basically how we're building most REI workflows and ultimately using it for building agents and coding stuff. I'm not a coder. I'm not a programmer. I don't code, but I have coded a lot of stuff, and I'm going to show you guys a few things that I have done. And this is kind of like a workspace that you guys have to create first in order to give enough context to Claude or any Claude project. I'm going to walk you guys through Claude projects at some point. But in order to train on your team specific details. So, for example, who are your client personas, your motivated seller personas that you usually pursue? So if you do a lot of pre-foreclosure and you push a lot of pre-foreclosure leads, and then you want to get a lot of those, then that's one of your personas. So you feed that information. If you haven't create your motivated seller client persona. Add copy frameworks, SMS email sequences that you would normally use, objection scripts, property type messaging, market pain points. Just make sure that you have everything in a workspace, and that can start with a Google Drive or some sort of local stuff so that it feeds into something like Claude or any AI agent, right? Now, here's how ultimately a follow-up machine would look like if it is built in real time. There is a lead atomizer that essentially understands what the lead context is all about, and then it actually feeds into your into your brain, into your workspace, and then understands exactly how we're solving things for that person. Then that lead atomizer qualifies the lead, given a score and AI qualifier, and then ultimately generates a follow-up sequence that is specific for that lead, right? Then ultimately send the lead and then ultimately track everything on a dashboard, ultimately booking appointments, right? So that's just one example of the follow-up machine or AI agent for follow-up. Okay, so let me just skip this in here. Oh, hold on. Actually, no. So here's another example, an offer letter. So let's say you do give an AI the ARV, the repair estimate, the seller situation, and in 30 seconds, it will write a personalized offer letter that addresses their pain, explain our process, and make them feel heard because they already are connected to a brain, right? And then all of this is ultimately personalized, right? That's just one example. So here's another example, the lead to contract cash buyer, okay? So lead to contract to cash buyer. So motivated seller comes in from any channel, then there is an appointment, then there is a signed contract, obviously, which AI helps draft the purchase agreement based on details on seller situation. This can ultimately be done in a cash buyer blast. So AI generates a property marketing email and text blast to investors, buyers list. Now, we're not doing manual inputs at any given point here. We're not going to ChatGPT and asking for these specific things. We're having AI agents that are put into a workflow to help you with this entire thing. So how many minutes and hours actually is going to be saving? A tons, right? So this entire process, once you get the lead, you book the appointment, and let's say you do send a contract, this is where the human needs, right? But this entire process can be done like very quickly. If you were to put together all these processes in place, like not having the seller conversation, but like the motivated seller lead to an appointment, that's a process. Then you have the human conversation, but then a signed contract to cash buyer blast, and then ultimately help with the all the admin and monotonous stuff that happened in the back end. That could compress us only 30 minutes as opposed to like hours in between every single one of these steps, right? Obviously, there's human steps that are in here, which I'm now counting for, but you would save just a lot of time and having personalized stuff. Here's another example, an AI ad copy. So, for example, because AI is changing so fast and how wholesalers ultimately create Facebook and Google ads, it can create dozens of hook variations, pain points, ads, even pictures, right? At all times. I'm going to show you guys what you guys should potentially do use in order to even do your social media management. Okay. So ultimately, you could build a lead generation and follow-up workflow. You could build an AI qualification, personalized email sequences. You can build an appointment booking, of course, an offer letter. All of that, all of those things would be processed in just under 30 minutes, right? And it ultimately replaces like inside sales agents. It replaces, manual labor costs, time wasted, not knowing where things are. So you will build all of this inside your own cloud workspace, and then ultimately build an AI employee framework that makes things repeatable. All right. So here I'm gonna skip Carlos because Carlos is for flippers, and I'm gonna actually walk through all the different things in here. All right. So let's go back to the AI agents that we have. Okay. So for example, we got the CEO owner agents. Now I built this with actually some sort of coding, and I actually use Claude and other vibe coding softwares that can help me build this. So this is one example of the things that I built, but this is just to give me a visual, right? Now, the CEO owner could have all these different agents that do all these different tasks in here. Or we can build an agent that is specializes in a task that is specialized, and that is what the agent is going to be doing. And then you just stack agents under you that it's going to be doing specific things. All right, so Taylor, let's walk through some of the agents that you have thought about. And I think you have this link so that we can go over the most critical agents that you have found after working with, for example, the franchise that I know you work with, Red Barn Home Buyers, and all the different agents that these people have been doing. You have access there to share the screen real quick?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
Perfect.
think, there's a few different things that we can look at. I think we'll start with the most critical ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me just share a window. Let me know when you can see that. Okay, you good? So if we look at like the most critical ones, just kind of like looking at what is going to move the needle the most, right? So what we found is like the lead manager is huge. And so obviously in your business, you probably already have a lead manager or you're doing that yourself. So if you're doing that yourself, this is going to free up so much time by adding in AI to basically get to that first human interaction point. And, like Esteban mentioned before, people still want to kind of close that deal and that offer with a human. That might change in the future, but for now, people want to, sign that deal with another person. So we can do all the legwork all on the front end, and then, making that offer, signing that contract is kind of where you or your acquisitions would step in. But essentially, you can get all this stuff done automated, speed to lead with text or voice, inbound calls, SMS conversations. So you're going back and forth texting, getting that initial appointment set, and then actually booking it to your calendar, right? So you sync your Google, your Apple, whatever calendar you use. And so you're all automated on the front end. And then even having call summaries, right? So that's super helpful. And what we've utilized that for is you can actually have your transcript, and we use NEPQ for our sales process. So basically we can have that analyzed and scored, depending on, so you can get better at sales, and you can see where you can, increase your closing percentages, right? So all of these things can be automated, and even follow up as you're trying to get that initial appointment booked, and then database reactivation. Right. So all of this stuff is going to be on the front end for lead manager. That's going to have a massive impact on your business. Acquisitions manager. So this is going to be basically like if you were to have an assistant, giving superpowers to your acquisitions department, or yourself if you're the closer, right? So you're going to be able to get a pre-call brief, so you know exactly how to position your offer. You know the pain points of that seller. You know the goal, that future state, where they, if they're looking to move somewhere, they're looking to downsize, whatever it is. Like, you're going to have this thing where you're not going to be wasting your time listening through an initial call or going back through all the texts. You're going to have an initial CEO summary brief. And then that way you can find that motivation gap. You can get your offer prepped. So you've got comps, you've got everything going into that call, if that makes sense. You're ready to come in, you're prepared, you sound professional, you know what you're doing, you're up to speed. Basically, just like if you were to have, in the old days, a couple years ago, have that morning meeting with your sales team and get a brief on that call. So, you come into it super prepared. And then the last critical one here on kind of phase one is your ops manager, right? So this is going to take care of all the operations. You've got TCPA compliance, do not call lists, hiring, role play training agent. So this is huge, especially when you're scaling, right? So when you're going beyond just yourself or a small team, as you're adding team members, training, project management, all that kind of stuff is going to be a huge time sucker, right? A huge waste of time if you're doing that manually. And that's where AI kind of comes in and takes that weight off of your plate. So those are all the critical ones, Esteban, I would say, for like phase one. And then, if you wanted to really supercharge it, you would just go ahead and add in, all the departments there. But if
Yeah,
you're
let's
just
let's dive deeper real quick here on the most critical ones. So let's see in detail what each one would have to do, because I want to make sure that we talk about the four things you guys got to have in your business to make sure that you start AI powering it, because it's not only putting together a the agent. It's an entire mindset, okay, an entire infrastructure. But okay, so let's see the things in detail real quick here. Let me see the ones that are critical.
Yeah. Here's an example on the, some of the tasks. So it breaks down all the tasks for that person. Just like if you were to hire a human, you would have, hey, here's your role, here's your tasks that you're going to complete, right? So for example, speed to lead, especially if you're paying for leads, that is very, very important. So what that looks like is there's automated triggers. So you have a webhook, and whenever that ad has a lead that's generated, or maybe there's even a missed call, we can have that webhook trigger. And so that's what kicks off your agent to be able to interact with those leads, right? And then also you have additional data that's input from the lead, like your source, if it's Instagram or Google or Facebook, and then also the pain point. What kind of ad did they come in on? Was this a pre-foreclosure ad? Was this a tired landlord? So you've got a little bit extra data that you can leverage there. And then also your outputs, right? So this is where, when that lead comes in, then you want them to output that lead to like your calendar or whatever that next step is, right? Usually booking an appointment. Also, you'll have all your systems integrated. So this kind of takes a lot of the manual input. If you were to try and type it in your CRM or, book it on your calendar manually, you're going to have all of that done, hands off. KPI tracking. So you'll have your CEO dashboard, and all of this kind of stuff might seem a little overwhelming, a little complicated, but really, as the owner, it's pretty simple. You'll basically just go to your CEO dashboard and look at what's happening, right? Your control center. So that's all these agents will basically report that data to that one place that you can look. But this is the lead manager. You'll have your KPIs for contact rate of your leads, appointment rate, and response time. So you'll have all the data from this agent. Just like if you were managing a human, you would want to keep track of how they're doing on setting appointments and closing, right? And then the handoff to your acquisitions manager or yourself, if you're closing, all of that would be taken care of as well. But this is just an example of one task. You can see how detailed it gets. But once again, as the owner, as that commander of that agent, it's going to be pretty easy to manage if you're just kind of checking on the dashboard. Anything to add there, Esteban?
Yeah, no, and then this is just one type of task like this. We don't want to overwhelm agents with a lot of different things. For now, we got to stack different type of tasks, kind of like if you want to replace a full employee, you got to build multiple agents for it. You know what I mean? You can't just like replace a full employee, because an employee has different, has a role, but has different responsibilities and tasks they got to do and results they got to go for, right? But an AI agent, we got to build a stack of them, and that stack could be, that's what you call the full entire AI employee, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, totally. So yeah, all of these things stack on each other, right? So that's just like if you were to have a human on your team, an employee, they're going to have multiple things they do within a given day, right? So we want to have our AI team doing that, right? And so the impact of that is you still will have people in your company and things like that, but it's going to cut down way.
One agent here. Let's go over the call summary and CRM update agent real quick.
Okay.
That one, which is in the lead manager section.
There we go.
So this one actually is a model that uses speech to text, and essentially from the conversation that you have had, that comes from either Twilio or whatever, it essentially knows, first of all, how to put down summaries, how to extract the advanced information that we need from the person, right? And then ultimately give you potential feedback as well, right? And then tells you a specific information that you need to actually make potential decisions or move forward to the appointment and so on, right? This is like one of the few ones that, if you don't have this, try to do that as much as possible, creating this type of agent, right?
Yeah, I'll add to that. This one is huge. So going on your calls and basically having all that information, right? Here's just a little example. It's like, here's the ARV of the property. Here's their asking price. Here's their motivation. And here's the action step that you need to take as a human, right? We want to send the cash offer. So, we don't have that part automated because we want you obviously to approve the offer, because that's kind of the big decision point. But all the front end stuff is all summarized for you. So before you jump on your call or before you write up that contract, you've got all your data right there.
Yes, sir. Tyler, you got a question, brother? What's up?
I don't want to derail the presentation. I have lots of questions, so I can save them till the end if you guys want to demo more.
Yeah, no problem, for sure. Let's go over the acquisition one real quick. Acquisition manager AI agents.
Yeah. What, you have a specific part you want to hit?
I
Just
would
all of them?
say, I mean, if you guys were part of the previous presentations that we've had, obviously there's some tools that have some sort of templated add-ons on agents, but with Claude and obviously like with different type of development, you can actually create these specific agents that are custom to your business and actually you know live in your within your workspace that I'm talking I talk about, right? So this one, for example, the acquisition manager, if you were to have some sort of brief prior to the call, for example, uh, the LLMs or essentially this AI softwares would do research on the seller by understanding the seller profile based on the seller answers. Let's say a seller answers, "Hey, pre-foreclosure on the ad, right? Comes from Google or from Facebook or from whatever." Then this AI agent would crawl the internet, right? Would not only try to find comps from the address, would not only will try to find the last conversation from the setter or from triage or even from whatever was answered, but also will crawl as much information to try to find information about that seller and that property itself, to giving you essentially potential potential issues, objections, and information that you could actually use for the conversation, right? And if you train it correctly, for example, if you train it, let's say under NAPQ, then it could potentially position you to write a script that actually helps you go through the entire conversation for that specific seller. And that can happen. This can happen in a matter of minutes, like the entire automation of like crawling the internet, finding out exactly who this seller is, how this property looks like, what is really going on with the seller, can be really given to you in under 5 minutes. So you have that information right there at your disposal. All right, Tyler, what's up?
Okay, so I actually do have a question that's relevant to this exact topic. So you said that you can, like, someone can customize the agent to your business. So I guess one overlying question I've been having while you guys have been demoing is this like GetSellers.io, is this a product, like a framework that you guys are selling, or are you suggesting that we all go out and use Claude Code to develop our own site and like software? Like, are you...
That's a good question. Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna show you guys how to, in the next few office hours, I'm gonna show you guys how to use Claude Code to essentially build these things. And how it will take some time, will take some credits, it will take some knowledge on how to do it. I'm gonna show you guys how to properly set it up. But GetSellers.io is our pay-per-lead platform. We do have some agents that we already have built under franchise that we built for them, and so we already did the work. And we do have some agents can either be replicated specifically for your business, which we'll talk about that later. Taylor has done that, and that could potentially be something you guys can do. The other option is obviously you guys can hire somebody like an AI architect, I call it like that, or AI engineer that can help you build all these things. You know what I mean? So, but my encouragement is like you guys learn, because I'm gonna show you guys essentially how you guys can do all of this, right? The easiest way, and there's a few options to do that. You can pay to play, and someone can build it for you. Obviously, you can build it yourself, or you can hire, or you can start like training and hiring a team that can ultimately is knowledgeable about these things, right? But I'll walk you through that.
Okay, so then if you were, I guess when you guys built this, you used Claude Code to develop the the actual code base, and then you obviously just like purchased a domain and then they host it, and then you can push your changes and updates to it periodically. Is that pretty much how it goes?
Yeah, you know, technically speaking, that's exactly how it looks like. I mean, you would need to create, first of all, the concept, you know, what needs to be done, what needs to be given a reference of the entire, you know, the entire brain to actually feed off and connect all the technologies so that it can start coding and then pushing to something like for example, this one is pushing to Vercel, I think so, and it pushes to essentially a framework that allows you to visualize all of this or use it for your own self. Taylor, you got a question? Or oh no, that's JT Taylor actually.
JT Taylor. This is super. We got Tyler Taylor and JT Taylor. Man, this is like a Dr. Seuss thing here. What's going on, JT?
Yeah, how's it going, you guys? Question for you: Do these AI agents integrate into GHL?
They can. Yep. So yeah, like Esteban said, these things are going to be built out custom to your business, right? So I think a lot of us use GHL, and so I mean that's what we use internally, and you know, definitely you can integrate it in with that. So not a problem.
Gotcha.
Correct.
I would recommend that actually, because like you know, you don't want to be bouncing around to all these different places. If you kind of have your central hub, and you can have things, you know, sync over there. So especially as an owner, you're, you know, not wasting your time going into all these different platforms. That's kind of the goal, right?
Yeah. I mean, and it can not only be integrated with Go High Level, but it can read the data off Go High Level like live, basically. And and if you were to build a visual, let's just say, of everything that is going on, dashboard, you can always iframe it into Go High Level as well, so that you have like an understanding of kind of what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Taylor, can you share again?
Yep. Yeah. Here we go.
Tyler, you got did that answer your question or not?
Yeah, sort of. One going off of JT's question, I know with like Hustle Media, Esteban, you guys have your CRM, which also integrates with Go High Level. But then, do you have the ability for these bots that you've created to also integrate with your like Hustle Media CRM?
Correct.
Or does it have to go through? Okay.
Yeah, the Hustle Media CRM is actually based off Go High Level.
Okay.
Just
got
FYI.
it. So,
yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty much like a site, a front end that's based off of like Go High Level's back end or something like that.
Correct. Yes, it's a Y level. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're paying Go High Level lots of money to end up hand you guys off like a piece that is custom made for you guys, basically. And yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just one more question, kind of building off Tyler's, if you don't mind. So the ultimate goal here for both Hustle Media and for us as operators, let's say we did not have the bandwidth to go build our own AI agents. We just want to focus on closing deals. And this is cool. This is sexy. This is awesome. Obviously, it's the future. If you don't do it, you're going to be left behind. None of us want to be left behind. Is part of your vision at Hustle Media to just offer, you know, these AI agents as they get deployed into the Hustle Media package? Or is it going to be a different model where it's an additional something that we could buy? Or are they just not for sale? Or is it going to be, we hired Taylor to come into our business to custom design them? I'm not sure of which model you're kind of targeting there. It would help.
Yeah, it's a combination. It's a combination of each, because each agent has to be tailored to how you think, how you operate, how you speak. And I'll show you guys essentially how what needs to happen, right? But we cannot like cookie cutter agents. It will be very bad. You know what I mean? So Taylor is actually building out a a backend product that will help all Get Sellers users and Hustle Media clients to ultimately have an AI fleet, right? An AI team fleet, and we're gonna go over that real quick. Actually, you can share it real quick. Go to home real fast, Taylor. Go to the AI team.
Yep.
And so yeah, basically we had this, put together just so that you guys can talk and see how we can actually deploy in an AI team that you need, so you can automate a lot of your stuff that happens in the back end, for sure. And that will be a conversation that you would have to have with Taylor.
Yeah. So JT, I think we're along the same wavelength there, right? So we're building out kind of these base agents, and then from there we'll customize that specific to your business, right? So we have obviously kind of some similar things in any investing business, right? Setting appointments, follow up, marketing, data, acquisitions, like all these different major roles. But then from there, you'll just layer on like your specific process, right? Or your specific goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Yep.
One last question, if you don't mind. My company, we actually have an overseas VA that specializes in VA or specializes in AI. Sorry, so many letters. Specializes in AI, and they're beginning to build AI agents for us. But my company, they've gone all in on Chat GPT. They don't use Claude because of the expensiveness of the tokens. And they just find better value with Chat GPT. And Chat GPT has recently acquired some other companies that in some ways now it surpasses Claude. So what I'm wondering is, do you have the capacity to kind of train, somebody like in my position, how to do this not using Claude, but using Chat GPT?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you guys are talking about Codex, right?
Yes.
Which is essentially the ChatGPT coding part of it. And I do agree. I mean, first of all, Claude was one of the first ones to come in and start productizing their tokens, essentially, and start becoming super expensive. Let's just call it like that, right? So you can actually build everything under Codex. At the end of the day, it's just a coding framework. It's an LLM, right? So either you can do the coding manually or you can do it with these platforms, right? So Codex is a huge one for sure, and can build, any type of coding language that you would want, or that would build also this thing. So yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you answering all those questions.
Yeah.
And not to step outside my role in this meeting, but I work for a tech company that is on the cutting edge of AI usage, and we have both ChatGPT and Claude Code. We are a code factory. That's our main thing, is we develop software. And Claude Code is our go-to. Like, Claude Code is superior, I would say, when it comes to development. You can treat Claude Code as essentially a junior developer, an employee of yours, and do some pretty impressive things. ChatGPT has, I would say, the market of your day-to-day user, for sure. But if you're trying to do more complex things and building a website, building something like GetSellers.io, I think Claude still takes the cake on that one. If I could give my own opinion.
I appreciate that. My company has the max tier, so it's the pro or business level. So they have the thinking, the pro, so it goes very, very deep. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a coder, so I don't know. I just have to use whatever's kind of put on my plate, to work with. So I don't think I can convince him to go over to Claude. if they like Chat GPT Pro and it does what they need it to do. So I have to work within that framework.
Yeah, let me share with you guys how we're actually making our team AI enabled. because I think it's going to be very important for anybody. So there's essentially 4 elements if you want to start powering up your REI business with AI. And this is how I believe, this is how I've been doing it with my team. First of all, on top of command, like right there out front, there's going to be an AI committed founder that understands that building AI first and then and investing in their employees and their skill to build AI, AI and use AI is very important, right? So you got to position yourself. Everything comes top down in terms of the leadership, and you got to have a AI committed mindset, right? Why? Because as a whole, what you got to do is that you got to have a business brain, an AI business brain that is organized SOPs, playbooks, scripts, data, and all of that stuff. So for AI employees, the AI employees essentially are going to be the agents, basically, right? So that it actually helps you build all those AI agents to operate on. And these AI employees or slash agents are going to be the systems, the prompts, and scheduled scales, cloud scales, or even different autonomous agents that you're going to be building that are going to be helping your actual human employees, and I label them AI architects or AI engineers. So this is all the human stuff that you have daily that is going to help you use, design, and ultimately manage these AI employees that you're going to be building, right? This is kind of how I've been structuring my business. And so my leadership was like, hey, this is what we ended up doing. First, I got committed myself, right? I'm a founder. I love AI. I'm a geek on AI and all that stuff, and invested a lot of money and time into like understanding the systems that are required. Watch tons of YouTube videos and bought a course about it. And so you got to be able to not only like build the business, but also understand that we got to be able to build AI first business as well, right? Because like the world's going to change this way. Like think about Oracle laid off about 20 to 40% of their employees. And then the same thing for Microsoft, and the same thing for Meta, and the same thing for all these giant tech companies. Why? Because basically, coders, programmers, they're the first thing that were replaceable, and which is sad, but it's ultimately what is happening. But you got to adapt somehow, right? So a lot of other things, a lot of other positions are going to be replaced. So that's why. But you got to build excitement about the possibility of the humans managing and having AI agents, all right? AI employees. Second thing, make every single one of your team members as much as possible an architect or knowledgeable about AI. Now, some of them are going to be more, some of them are going to be less, and that's totally okay. But like AI is friendly to non-coders, means that you can like ask something to AI. If you know how to ask AI and make decisions, then you can ultimately start helping them build stuff under them or use the AI that you built for them in a much better way, right? And so again, not just a tech person, everyone, your acquisitions manager, your dispo coordinator, your VA, everyone, right? And obviously what I ended up doing was like, I ended up hiring someone that was focused on just like AI. And this person would come in with every single one of my employees and would do a diagnosis, and they'll make them think, okay, how do we make this employee life and job faster, better, and higher output? And then they both started thinking and started building something. Obviously, at the beginning, before hiring someone, I ended up just making everyone go through a challenge. And I'm going to walk you guys through the challenge. The third pillar is the AI employees. So you build prompt-based agents, workflow agents, autonomous agents. Those are the 3 main things, right? And the REI business brain, this is one of the most important things that you got to set up. So this could live obviously on the cloud, but it also could live in for example, I purchased myself a MacBook Mini, and a lot of the stuff in the MacBook Mini has a lot of my business brain. I also have it in my laptop, but I want to make sure that the business brain has everything. So the
Vaughn,
business
right there, real quick on the business brain.
Yep.
You're saying that you put everything basically on a dedicated server, which is your Mac.
Yeah.
I've also heard people put it on GitHub.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you're talking about there? It's the
Yes.
repository
Yes.
of where all the AI agents live?
Correct. You can put in GitHub, but you got to be very careful because GitHub, if you don't set it up correctly, it can be public to everybody. So
Okay.
basically all your data, like everything, like your scripts, your framework, your leads, your
Yeah.
information, your APIs, all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So what we do is we encourage our employees to become AI architects. What I did 2 months ago was I told everybody in our monthly town halls, we're gonna do a challenge for the next 30 days. You guys are gonna think about the pain that you guys are gonna solve that is going to do a job for you, and then you're gonna build an agent under you, and you're gonna test it, refine it, you're gonna deploy it, made from Claude code, right? Some people, I don't know why they ended up going their own way to do only things in ChatGPT or only chat, but they didn't take Claude, and it's on me. But majority of them, they ended up building stuff in Claude code, and we told them we're gonna pay to the winner $100 on it was gonna be on $100 gift card or $150, something like that, to the winner of the best AI agent and the best AI, automation, right? And then for my other company, we had two winners, one X amount for the first winner and the X amount for the second winner. So this encouraged everybody to build something, right? So the way that I did it was like, hey, you got to spot a pain. You got to define the job of that AI agent. You got to build the employee with code. You got to test and refine it, and you got to deploy and scale it. And sometimes building the employee means having different connectors, connecting to Google Drive, connecting to Meta, connecting to Koha Level, connecting to Make.com, all that stuff, right? But then they ended up building something, and one of my employees ended up building an AI agent that would create, I think, 40 images for ads in less than 5 minutes. So instead of getting graphic designer or them going to Canva and then just duplicating and changing the design or something like that, they ended up building an AI agent that made 40 different variations of winning agents. The town hall meeting is something I actually went over on the YouTube channel on this, but a town hall meeting is like a monthly meeting where we go over how do we do last month? What was the revenue last month? What was the profit last month? What are the goals for this quarter? We are super transparent. Then we also talk about who are the best employees because they achieved, based on result, X amount of things or X thing in their department. So for example, our account managers, our salespeople, they have their own shout outs. We talk about the things that need to be improved. We go over start, stop, and continue. So start, stop, and continue that, it's basically what we got to start doing, what we got to stop doing, what we got to continue doing as a company. And everyone gives their own feedback to us. So we talk about that. We also talk about the rocks, which are essentially the goals that we have for the quarter. And then we also give each other shout out. So there's a time where we give each other shout out for what has been accomplished on the month, and then we toss the ball to everybody. So that's kind of like the framework of the town hall meeting that we have. You could call it the all hands on meeting for every month and so on. Yes, sir, JT. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to show you guys how the master company should kind of look like, the master company brain. So you guys have to essentially build a drive or like a folder with different subfolders that the AI agent would actually feed off. And that would include your marketing workspace, your sales workspace, your finance workspace, your customer service workspace, your operations workspace, HR leadership workspace. And if you don't have a lot of these things created, like the SOPs or playbooks, start creating now. And you can also use, AI to create those, right? Based on, what you give them, the transcriptions of your meetings, all that stuff. But you got to be able to create those workspace. Yes, sir. Take care, brother. Tyler. You gotta have a master company brain in order to create any agent. Because if you don't have a master company brain, it's gonna be very hard for the agent to know context about your business either way, right? So make sure that you have a master company brain, and for each department, you have a workspace, like a brain for each department, right?
Esteban, real quick, could I jump in on that? I think if you don't have it, like, would we have like a basic kind of general best practice stuff, right, Esteban? So like if someone said, hey, I don't really want to build out my whole SOP for this department, like we could probably just start with our base for that, right?
Oh yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking too. So just a little side note on that. If that seems overwhelming to you, like there are shortcuts that you can take on that.
Taylor,
but you need to have it. Yeah.
Talk about what we got for people, what we can do so that I can potentially talk to you about maybe start building some AI agents with you. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll pop over here. So just a few things like Esteban mentioned is like some of those big AI employee hires that you can make: appointment setter, follow-up, marketing, data, acquisitions, deal coach for structuring your deals, CFO for finances, TC, tenant management if you do rentals. Also, we have Dispo that we just added as well. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest things that we could help with out of the gate. If you're like, hey, we just want to have these things set up for us, we're busy doing deals or whatever else you're doing in the business, we're happy to help accelerate that for you. So basically, you just choose your roles. We would schedule an onboarding call, and then we would go live after that. And you can always scale and add more agents or more tasks later, right? So that's the general flow there. And so yeah, just book a call with us if you wanted to just even learn more about it, go back and forth, see if it makes sense for you and your business. But yeah, it's get sellers. You would just click book a call. You could go onto our calendar here, getsellers.io/book-a-call, right? So just jump on there, grab a slot on our calendar, and we're happy to walk through that more in depth with how much it costs for those agents and all the details.
Taylor, share your number for anybody that wants to maybe ask questions or something like that.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, if they want to build, obviously, some sort of agent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think probably this will go to me. Where is it at? Contact. Yeah. So this will go over to my phone there, 973-928-8609. So if you have any questions, and just want to chat real quick, call or text. Happy to help.
Yeah, Chuck and Jen, they were here and they said that they were kind of nervous about lots of info on ChatGPT versus Claude. Moving over makes her nervous.
Yep. Yeah, I replied back to them on that.
Oh, nice.
One. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Unless we got any other questions.
No, that's about it. So, all right. So Taylor, thank you so much for this. What we're gonna do in the next few office hours is we're gonna be building some agents with you guys and showing you guys how to actually build agents for the REI business. If you guys again liked this discussion and you thought that it was valuable, share with somebody, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and let us know if you guys are good. What's up, Ron?
Just have one quick question. So when you're saying to build it, and I might have missed this, what do we need to have in our toolbox now to kind of do that and work with you to possibly build our own AI agents if we wanted to, aside from Claude itself? Because I don't know anything about this stuff. Might as well be talking Mandarin right now because I don't understand a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, Ron. So I think probably the easiest thing is just jump on a call with us and we can kind of go through more what you're specifically wanting or interested in. And on your side of it, there's not going to be too much required except for just kind of having some initial conversations to figure out what are the biggest levers that we could pull to accelerate your business. And then also any specifics to what you're doing, right? So some people are flippers, some people wholesale, some people do it all. Like we just need to get a little bit of specific info for what would have a good impact on your business and then what you specifically do. And then we pretty much can do the rest. Some people, like the guy Tyler who was on earlier, he's a coder, right? So like he could probably do a lot of this himself. But there's also a ton of people that are like, hey, I'm a real estate investor, I'm not a coder. So for those people, maybe like yourself, it just makes sense for us to learn a little bit more about your goals and your specific business, and then we'll help you with the rest. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, specifically for me right now, I don't want to be involved in like the website development and social media and all that other stuff that I know is a big part of developing a brand and business, but it's something that I can't do because I'm knee deep in training and acquiring and acquisitions, dispositions, all that stuff. And I always find that the website development and the posts and the topic pages, all that stuff always falls to the wayside.
Yep. Yeah, that's super common. I think spending your time on your highest ROI tasks, like closing deals, makes more sense than stopping to take a selfie, right? So what we would do is analyze that a little bit further, but just based off of that info, it's like, hey, you probably should start out with a social media manager agent, and you should probably have a web developer agent, right? So some agents that can take those lower money type of jobs off of your plate.
Yep.
So those higher ROI tasks can be what you focus on. That makes sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thank you guys. I think I got stuck something. All right. All right, guys. Thank you. And I'll see you guys in the next office hours. We're going to be, building agents and going over more AI. Look, AI isn't just the future of real estate investing. It's happening right now. And there's a game-changing strategy that most investors are completely missing that could automate 80% of your business operations. Every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, we bring in operators and experts breaking down what's actually working for real estate investors right now, completely free. Stay tuned for what's coming next. Link to join the community is in the description. We'll see you there.